Hello, hello. Thank you guys all for being here. It's really awesome to be back. This is my third time back. And thank you, Trinity, again for having me, as always. My name's Nate Kap, and I'm going to be presenting a very special presentation, Allegorical ET. So hopefully you guys can see it well. Last time I was here, I gave a presentation called The Spiral Ritual of Christmas, which is dealing with the spiral symbol and the circled dot symbol. And those are very important symbols, the cone too, very important symbols to what I'm going to be sharing with you today. It's very, very special, with the holiday of Christmas, and it all connects. So if you got a chance to see that, it's really going to, help you have a better understanding of what you're seeing here today. So what I'm going to share is something that I find to be very, very valuable to anybody's spiritual journey when it comes to trying to discover what really matters most in our search, when it comes to unexplainable events and objects and other beings. So what I'm going to be talking about today, I think a lot of people kind of have an idea, is I'm going to be talking about UFOs. I'm going to be talking about flying saucers, aliens, grays, ETs, etc. But what might be a surprise is, and this might be confusing, is I'm actually going to be talking nothing about any actual events. I'm not going to be talking about any actual UFOs. I'm not going to be talking about any actual ETs, aliens, or sightings, okay? So this whole presentation is about how the thinking should be done first and foremost when it comes to this topic, all right? So it's something a lot more beneficial, it's something a lot more personal, okay? Very spiritual. So one thing that I want to be very clear on, to bring more clarity, is to define terms. One thing that I do in all my presentations is I define terms. I get to the etymology, which is, essentially about getting back to the origin of an actual word, okay? The derivation. So that's really important. Now, do I believe that there are any other off-world beings or non-human technology that is in our skies coming down to our planet? I believe that there's a very high probability. I mean, people have been talking about it for a very long time. However, I think it's really important to be honest in the way that we see the things in the sky, hear about all these stories, and this isn't anything to deny anybody's experiences or what they feel. It has nothing to do with that, okay? And as I go through this, I'm going to, really help you understand that a lot more, okay? But I do believe that there's definitely things going on that we can't explain. Now, this is about the allegorical ET is a deeper importance to the human species than proving whether off-world or interdimensional beings actually exist or not. So, what is an allegory? This is the most important part of the whole presentation, all right? And I'm going to keep unfolding as I go. So an allegory is a cryptic story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted or decoded in order to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral lesson. Okay, and that's very, very important to understand. Show of hands, how many people have seen Black Mirror or Twilight Zone? Okay, a few. Good. If you haven't seen any of those episodes, or you have, those are allegories. Okay. What an allegory does is it helps us reveal the internal aspects of consciousness that typically correspond to, characters and, the plot of the story in anything. And this is the way that the thinking has to be done with so much of our life to be able to make sense of the world. So it's a very useful tool, a very useful spiritual tool. Now, these are the, wow, okay, I guess I really didn't have my face up to the mic, or my mouth. So I want to define the terms. Okay, these are very, very important terms that a lot of people use very loosely when they talk about this topic. And so the first term, let's learn about what an ET is. So an ET, most people know it means extraterrestrial, right? But again, you got to know, what does extra mean? What does terrestrial really mean? So extra means outside or beyond the scope of, in addition to what is usual or expected, okay? And terrestrial means earthly or of or pertaining to the earth. So extraterrestrial just simply means beyond the earthly. So you could say the moon is an extraterrestrial. You could say Jupiter is an extraterrestrial, right? But of course, we have to understand that ETs, aliens, grays, these things are all synonymous. And so I'm just trying to help people make sense of each one of them, because there's a different definition for each one. And, how we understand these beings typically are, most people would say that they're, human-like, in the sense that they have human-like features, like a head and arms, legs, torso, and so on. So what is an alien? Well, an alien comes from the Latin alienus, which means of or belonging to another, maybe belonging to another galaxy, another planet, another place off the earth. And it also means not one's own. It means foreign or strange. Okay, and that's one definition, and I think that's the best definition of what an alien is, and that's, of course, the etymology of alien. And it's really important to pay attention to that definition, and I'm going to come back to this definition as we go forward. Now, this is what I believe to be the most important part of this whole presentation, is the grays. Because the grays is something that we can really start to understand what an allegory actually means when we think of what a gray is referred to as. So the definition states, this is what has been recorded as gray-skinned, small, human-like beings that possess reduced forms of or completely lack external human body parts, like noses, ears, and sex organs. So think about that. Think, why do they not have sex organs? Why do they not have ears? Why don't they have a nose? And this is, referring to the, the quote unquote grays, okay? And so we have to ask, what does, why is this? Why would there be any beings in the whole universe of nature that don't have these things? It doesn't make any sense, okay? So this is what allegory helps us understand, because when we look at it internally, when we look at it, with our brain and with our consciousness, that's where we're really going to start to find the truth. Okay, so And again, I'm not trying to say that these beings don't actually exist. I'm just saying we have to understand this deeper internal aspect of what these beings actually are. Okay, so their bodies are reported as being elongated, having small chests. Why do they have a small chest? And lacking muscular definition and visible skeletal structure. Their legs are supposedly shorter and jointed different from humans. And they typically have a large balloon head, balloon-shaped head, and giant black eyes. Okay, so really think about that. Why do they have those things? Why do they have those attributes? And I'm going to do my best to explain this allegorically in the next slide. Okay, but first I just want to define one more term. I think everybody understands, what a UFO is. It's an unidentified flying object. And, I think more people need to be honest and humble themselves when they see these things, because I've seen things that I can't explain, okay? But I think a lot of people are very quick to just believe that, it's something off-world, when our government has lied to us so many times and kept so much of this technology from us. We don't even know what kind of technology they have. I mean, they're always 30 years ahead in the technology before it even, hits the mainstream. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind. Now, and there's a lot more I could say about that, but okay, I want to really break down this word grays, because I think this is really where you get to see the magic. Grays are analogous to the telencephalon gray matter of the human brain. So, analogous means likened to, right? So when you think about the telencephalon, the gray matter, the outer layer of the brain, it's grayish, mostly grayish. This is why they have giant heads, which represents intelligence. This is why their body is small, because, they don't really need their body. They only need their body to hold their big balloon head, right? And it's also why they don't have any sex organs, because they're higher order beings. They're not operating from their lower parts. So if you understand the chakra system, you understand that anybody who is operating from their lower chakras, their lower energy centers, they're not operating from their higher state of being, and therefore they're not really operating from intelligence. And this isn't to, bash sex or anything to do with sexual organs. It's just to help us understand that these beings, when we relate to them, this is giving you the why they don't have these organs. Okay, because they're intelligent. They're operating from intelligence. And as we go through this presentation, this is going to make so much more sense. But they operate from the higher celestial world. They don't operate from the terrestrial world. So the terrestrial is the earthly, the celestial is, the sky, the stars, the higher part of the being. Okay? They come from the sky. They come from the stars. They're star people, right? So you have to think about it like a metaphor. You have to think about it like an allegory, So this is about the self raising above the material plane, above, raising from the root chakra all the way up the energy centers, all the way to the, the ajna or the crown chakra. Okay. So this pertains to the gray matter of the brain being activated by this consciousness being raised, the raised part of the self. Okay, and the large black pupils represent the occult vision. Occult means hidden, and so they understand. They know how, this is why their technology is so much more advanced than humans, because they They understand the laws of nature. Okay, they're intelligent. So, and when I say they, make that, let that be a reflection back to you. Okay, so this is the correspondence. Correspondence means as above, so below, as below, so above, or as within, so without. That which has taken place inwardly is that which has taken place outwardly, and that which has taken place outwardly is also likened to that which has taken place inwardly. Okay, that's what correspondence means. So as you can see, all these symbols that I have next to each other, these are all representations of raising consciousness. So as you see on the left, we have the being raised from the terrestrial, the ground, up to the celestial, up to the spaceship. And remember, if you saw my other presentations or you're familiar with my work, I talk about the circle dot. This is the circle dot. The dot in the middle is the light. So being raised, it's an alchemical process. So this being is being raised the same way that our consciousness, is being raised, through the spine, the spinal cord up to the brain, the telencephalon, right? And of course, we have this caduceus symbol, which has the energy centers, the chakras, going from the red, like I was talking about earlier, going from the red up to the ajna, and this is the crown, right? And you have the wings. Wings represents flight, right? So that is exactly what this is, as an allegory, right? And the same thing with corn. Corn is very spiritual. All through history, corn has always been known as, it's very spiritual because it looks like a pine cone. Pine cone represents the third eye, like the pineal gland. And then, when the corn is growing, it's growing from darkness. It's growing from soil, right? And it goes all the way up to gold. And, when you take the husk off, you find the gold. And that's about enlightenment. And then the same thing with the lotus flower. The lotus flower, it blooms in the sun and it closes up in the dark, like a lot of flowers do, but it's a very, very sacred spiritual flower, especially in Africa and Eastern traditions. Now, I just wanted to show this real quick, just to show you this is the main the most ancient replica symbol of the Allseeing Eye on the mount. And again, this is the cone with the spiral, the pole going up to the Allseeing Eye. And that is supposed to represent, the creator that can see everything in the whole universe. Okay, that is the most ancient symbol of that, of what that truly means. And that correlates or corresponds to the pineal gland. This is, I think a lot of people are familiar with this. This is magical mushrooms or psilocybin. When this is ingested, there can be spirit guides that take you higher in consciousness above your ego. And you can, definitely learn a lot about yourself by taking this, if you do it in a controlled environment. All right. Now, truth is analogous to alien. It's not, exactly, truth is not exactly alien, but it is in the sense that most people shoot the messenger with ridicule, blasphemy, irreverence, and any type of disrespectful behavior when truth is put forward. Most people do not want to hear anything that is real. Most people, put their head in the sand, and that's why when a lot of people sound crazy when they see aliens or ETs or interdimensional beings. They are very quickly dismissed, and that's the reason is because it's hard to prove. And so we have to accept that. But allegory is what's going to tie all this together. It's going to help us understand our real connection to the universe a lot better. Okay? So one must ponder the prioritization between delving into the exploration of the self and our human essence, or devoting significant time and attention towards the pursuit of evidence regarding the existence of extraterrestrial beings. And I know that's a mouthful, but basically the question is whether to mostly focus inwardly on self-discovery, really putting the energy in time and attention into the self and understanding our condition as a human species, which isn't very good, if most people are paying attention to what's really going on in this world, or to remain predominantly outward looking in the quest to prove or disprove the existence of aliens. And, a lot of people go their whole life trying to prove whether aliens or ETs or any off-world beings actually exist, and they never step foot in their own temple, their own spaceship, if you want to call it that. And I think that's really unacceptable. I don't have a problem with looking outward, and looking for other beings or looking for other non-human technology, but we have to remember that one of the most beautiful gifts that we have is being able to look inward and understand the spiritual realm, understand the the unseen forces in nature that we're always bound to. There's a lot more to that, but I don't have time to really get into it. But I just want to leave you with this. When people don't understand the workings of allegory, they are highly susceptible to literalize and believe anything. So that being said, I really appreciate your time and attention. I thank you, and if you'd like to learn more about any of the topics that I've shared so far, or just something to help you on your spiritual journey, you can go to cubbyhole.com, start at podcast number 1, work your way forward in order so that way you'll get the maximum value of the overarching message that is within the tapestry of that podcast. And with that, thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions, I'm going to be up here for another 10, 15 minutes if you want to ask anything. So thank you.